Going live now. It is already recording the video. And now I am recording on the Audacity. Oh my god, Cloudy sent me a meme the other day in context of like a completely different conversation. But it said the lion, the witch, and the audacity, or what is it? The lion, the witch, and the wardrobe? Yeah. The lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch. And I was just dying.
I've seen that Harry Potter and the audacity of this bitch meme also.
Oh, that's good.
I have Audacity up, but I am not recording yet, so I was gonna wait. Oh, hi, Mare.
The Mare.
Assume
the position. Ooh, I actually have wine. I can go get wine tonight.
Yes, get wine.
I feel like I need it because writing up this breakdown was... it's gonna be rough.
Mare. Wine time. See if I can get my cat to purr into the mic while we wait. He's in my lap, right underneath the mic. You might be able to see his little ear down here sometimes. Oh, Mare. Oh, don't move it. Just let it be. Okay. Ooh. Are we purring? Yeah. Not loud enough, though, huh? A quiet, soft purr. This one is going to be good. I'm excited for this episode. I actually wasn't even that excited for this episode until recently. So I have lots of thoughts, and there's way more to talk about, and it's very exciting. And I see Jen coming back. Yay.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Is anybody even here yet? No. Oh, I see some lurkers in this chat.
Lurkers.
All right.
I think everyone's sick of Baldur's Gate, which is unacceptable, honestly. I'm sad that we're almost done. Hello, Eileen, the BFE.
Yeah. We need to coordinate and make sure everybody's free for next week.
Oh, yeah. Who were you thinking?
Everybody.
Besides... Okay. I figured Sam would be one. If he's available.
Yes, unfortunately, the power went out in his apartment today, like 10, 15 minutes ago. So.
Oh, okay.
No, not while he was streaming. I mean, we were in a voice chat, talking to each other with other people.
Just kidding.
He was streaming a video game, but not to like a live stream.
That sucks. I've only had the power go out one time since I've moved here, and it was only for like an hour.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was bummed. I was like, what's happening? There was no explanation either.
During Lazelle, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was so in the groove.
I was in my... It was in my flow, and I was very upset that it was interrupted because it's hard to get into the flow.
Yeah.
This week was hard. It's the longest week ever. Like, I love my daughter, and I guess that's one part of it that makes it nice is like she makes you cherish every moment, but also time has dragged on. I'm like, it's only Friday. It feels like it should have been Friday 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Spring break. Not for me. For her.
The old adage of a child makes the days drag on, but the years go by in a flash is so true.
The days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is extremely true. Which is why I don't mind at the end of the day. Even though the end of the day leaves me exhausted.
Drained. Yeah. Preach, mama.
All right, enough about children.
All right, well, all right. I will snooze the ad break for 5 minutes and then it'll happen soon. We'll just get into this now. Because I'm ready
Me
to
too.
do a damn podcast. So here we go. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Ship, the podcast where we analyze, rate, and review all that the world of video game romances has to offer. I'm Genesis, the girl who cackled at the all caps message sent to me on September 3rd, 2023. Jen, did you know you can romance a mind flayer in this game?
Yeah, and I'm Bravada, the girl who followed that message up with job security for us. It's like they made that game for job security for us.
Yes, and also, quote, Astarion is insufferable. When do I get my house in? I think I still need to go grab Karlak.
Was that you? That was
No, that
definitely
was
me.
you. That was 100% you.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. I don't remember ever feeling that way about Astarion.
Yep, you called
been
him.
drowned out by the love.
You called him insufferable. You spelt his name wrong for like the first 3 weeks of us talking about it.
I'm most ashamed of that because I hate misspelling things and mispronouncing them, but I've had to come to terms with that one.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of the words that we pronounce are fantasy words. We can't get them right.
Yeah. If you've seen those TikToks where it's like, and then blah, 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 went to the village of blah, 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 and like it just skips over the fantasy words. That's just my brain when I'm reading a fantasy novel, honestly.
I'll make up a word and then like to replace it in my head and then not really realize that I don't remember what the real word is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple of those in there where you like wrote the pronunciation and I'm like, that's how that's supposed to be said. No idea.
This is very true. And if you're new here, welcome to this beautiful chaos. You should also know that our podcast centers on character and romance analysis and doesn't shy away from exploring the fun of fucking.
Or from the deep emotional connections that can be built between two or more characters, not in this episode necessarily, using specific in-game dialogue. So if you want to stay spoiler-free, then this is definitely not the podcast for you.
So here's your fucking spoiler alert.
Thanks for the spoiler alert, N7. And I will have to say that tonight's episode gives us one of the game's biggest spoilers. I feel like this is one of the details that even TikTok, even Reddit, everybody avoids the identity of our character basis for today. So if you're planning on playing Baldur's Gate and you're just casually listening to an episode here or there to see if you're going to like it, don't listen to this one and spoil a major plot point. So, just like with all of our previous episodes, we'll assume that you have some background knowledge of the game and character in question, but we'll be providing context for those of you who may be unfamiliar.
A lot of context tonight to add, actually. So today we are still in Faerun, but you are a very much unwelcome guest. Sure, you were once a living legend, a voyager, adventurer, even founder of the city of Baldur's Gate itself. You even once bound a devil into service with nothing but a turnip. But not even you could withstand Seramorphosis. Your final adventure brought you to Moonrise Towers, where you were infected with a tadpole. Not even a special one, either. You are certainly a special mind flayer, though. You found cerebral safety within the sharp edges of the astral prism, siphoning power you stole from your mortal enemy. Now all you need are some pieces to put into play. Lucky you, they're literally falling from the sky. You are the Emperor from Baldur's Gate 3.
It's complicated, but I'm an adventurer, just like you. Just like you, I was infected with a mind flayer parasite. Just like you, I seek to be free of it. I've been trying to escape from this evil for a long time. Once, I almost succeeded. Now, through you, I've been given a new chance. You can go where I cannot, and I can protect you from that evil. If we work together, we may turn this around. Hells, they need me. I have to go. The power I used to protect you, I stole it from someone. They want it back. I will hold them off for as long as I can, but sooner or later I will be worn down.
So, in order to do this character justice, we are going to approach it in a much the same way that we approach talking about Solus in his episode for Dragon Age Inquisition. Just like Solus, the Emperor is different from the person it was before. A legendary person at that. While Solus is a literal god, the Emperor might as well be for how fabled it was when it was human. When the person who was to eventually become the Emperor was born, they answered to the name Balduron. Yes, that Balduron. From the small village of Grey Harbor, who became a legendary voyager, sailing the trackless sea beyond the Evermeet in search of resources and glory. Baldurin mapped as many islands as he could as he went, and eventually he landed on the next continent over from Faerun, known as the Angkoroma. I even wrote this out. Angkorome. Known as the Angkorome. He was the first from Faerun to ever do so.
I'm telling you, these words. That's spelled Ancorum, by the way. But it's fine. It's fine. English is not a phonetic language, so I can't complain. Anyway, he made his fortune and his name adventuring there, and when he returned home to Grey Harbor, he brought it all back and spread the wealth. That's pretty nice. A large sum of the fortune was spent on a wall to protect the town from the yearly raids, but he left on another adventure before it was finished being built. One of its gates was named after him, Baldur's Gate. During his time voyaging, he befriended a bronze dragon named Answer. Maybe more than befriended him. It's kind of confirmed in the game. But history will record them as being roommates. And the two sailed on to find the great spire of the Ice Sea, which is apparently cool. But I don't know that much about D&D, so I'm not sure that is that cool. I don't really know. Baldurin eventually undertook a second voyage to Ancorame aboard his ship, the Wandering Eye.
Oh no. I can't tell if she froze or if I froze. Uh-oh. It's me. I'm the problem.
Wait, am I back?
I think so. Yeah.
Wait. Oh, she said you guys you're the problem. Wait, I was problem too because you froze for me.
Oh, weird. You froze for me. Okay, OBS studio reconnection successful. We're good. You said the Wandering Eye, and then that's where it stopped.
Okay. Sometime around the mid-1000s Dale reckoning, was when he went aboard his ship for the second
Do you want to just redo
voyage.
that whole sentence?
Yeah, where does that sentence is long. Okay. Baldurin eventually undertook a second voyage to Encorame aboard his ship, the Wandering Eye, sometime around the mid-1000s Dale reckoning, or DR. For context, the year in Baldur's Gate 3 is 1492 DR, which is also when Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. So, Also, fuck him, though, just by the way.
Yeah, no. But also, that is kind of funny because everybody knows the rhyme. In 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. All right. That brings us to a somewhat confusing aspect about the Emperor and of Baldurin. I'm sure there's an explanation, but we don't exactly know how old the Emperor is supposed to be. Canonically, in D&D, mind flayers typically only live to 120, maybe 135 years, which even if Baldurin the human was at his maximum lifespan as a human, there's still about 400 to 500 years. We might not be able to stream this tonight. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think OBS is messing up. We might not be able to freeze for me. Or we might not be able to stream. Can you unmute and talk to me?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't realize I was still muted. It happened again, is what I said. I don't know. We can just record it. It's not like there's a ton of people watching tonight anyway, unfortunately for them. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, because I think it's OBS that's causing issues.
Which for the layman is somehow related to streaming. That's what I've gathered over the years.
Oh yeah, OBS is the tool that is used to stream. We can keep trying though. Okay.
The last sentence I heard you say was that we don't know how old the emperor is supposed to be, and it froze somewhere inside the canonically in D&D bit.
Okay. Canonically in D&D, mind flayers typically only live to 120 to 135 years, which even if Baldurin the human was at his maximum lifespan as a human, there's still about 400 to 500 unaccounted years in between Baldurin's disappearance at Moonrise and the current year in Baldur's Gate 3. Perhaps mind flayers that are not under an elder brain's control just live indefinitely? Or perhaps there is some unexplained reason that the Emperor specifically has lived this long? And we can assume that it does not age within the astral prism, as that is within the astral plane, but it has only been inside for a short period of time, around 2 years, as we know that Gortash instructed the Emperor to find the astral prism. In any case, a lot of people have just assumed that this is an inconsistency within the story. But if you would like to give Larian the benefit of the doubt, assume that there is a reason that fits into D&D lore. I mean, it's D&D. Almost anything goes.
Yeah, seriously. I'm sure there's something. But back to Baldurin. He died, and in his place, a sexy octopus, allegedly, that retained Baldurin's memories was born, and eventually was rescued from Moonrise by its old buddy Answer. Honestly, the pronouns for mind flayers seem to just be it, but there you go. So
the narrator also calls it him.
Yeah, my instinct is to do him because the voice is very masculine once the reveal happens, but everywhere online it's it. Like the wiki for mind flayers in general, it's like it. Which I'm not really sure. So I stuck with it because I was trying to go like D&D stuff because we cross over a lot more into D&D, the lore with the Emperor than we do with any of the other characters, just because the Baldur and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, my instincts say I could say he. I don't really care. The Emperor, he never confirms, I think, what the pronouns are that the Emperor wants. But also, he would eat your brain if given half a chance. So I'm not feeling like I should respect the bitch that much. I'll touch his tentacles, but I won't trust him. Anyway,
Mhm.
okay. So after he gets rescued by Answer, according to Baldwin's Forgotten Realms wiki page, his time at Moonrise was only a mere 13 years. So he went from Ceramorphosis to being a Moonrise. 13 years later, Answer rescues him. But I'm not sure if it ever says that in game. So let's take that with a grain of salt. The Illithid, soon to be known as the Emperor, went to Baldur's Gate, the city his human host helped create, and ate criminals' brains for the next few centuries. At least that's what he says happened. Maybe he really was that discerning. Who knows? The Emperor, if nothing else, is as unreliable a narrator as you can get. Honestly, if the narrator isn't Amelia Tyler, I don't trust him. Sometime in the late 1400s DR, not too long before the events of the game, the Emperor partnered up with Duke Balin Stelmane, and it became the governing force behind the Knights of the Shield, an influential merchant operation in Baldur's Gate, according to the Emperor. If you ask the Emperor, he'll tell you that him and Stelmane were friends. That's not exactly true.
Gortash discovered the Emperor and enslaved it to the Netherbrain. Blah, blah, blah. It found the artifact, aka the Astral Prism, aka the weapon, and took solace inside of it, siphoning the imprisoned Orpheus's power to disrupt the Illithid hive minds. And he stayed independent. And now we are at the start of the game, essentially. But our relationship with the Emperor starts out before you even play the game. You see, Larian was smart enough to make us design our own dream guardian. Most people will probably design a dream guardian that they find attractive, so the manipulation has already begun. You are primed to trust them because you know them, don't you? You made them. At first, the visit will be short, literally in your dreams, which just adds to the whole, you can trust me. They are wearing armor, which reinforces the fact that they are protecting you, a fact that they will mention time and time again. They are all that stands between you and Ceramorphosis, between you and annihilation.
Yeah, I don't want that. Ceramorphosis, it sounds nasty. What you must remember about the Emperor is that every single instance you interact with them is a highly calculated moment. It's all strategy. You see what it wants you to see, hear what it wants you to hear, and how you feel is directed by the ambient setting it dictates. All of the companions are highly vulnerable at the start of the game. Even someone with the most stable background would fracture given the imminent threat of becoming a mind flayer. Brain worms? How can you not be afraid? That sounds so gross. But don't worry, your sexy and smooth talking dream guardian has your back. But you will be belittled if you seek to cure yourself or do anything other than trying to discover what the absolute is. This is comprised of some verbal insults, some passive aggressive comments, but it's all done to whittle you down into wanting to please it, wanting the Emperor's approval. Overall, the Emperor doesn't exactly have approval the way the other romanceable companions do, but it approves of distrusting the Gith, displaying psionic potential or desire, and supporting the Lithids. It will disapprove of allying with the Gith, rebelling against its plans, stomping the astral touch tadpole, which is hilarious, and being generally not about the grand design. But no matter what you do, your dream guardian's there for you. They just might be brattier to you. This next clip is an example of the Emperor belittling you, a glaring one at that, which is what happens when you seek out the gift to be cured of your tadpole and enter the astral prism on Blacketh's orders to kill whatever is inside to purify it.
I may have made a mistake trusting you. I told you to stay away from the Githyanki. But you just couldn't help yourself. Could you? And now, you've come here to murder me. I told you I stole the artifact from someone. Well, I stole it from Vlaakith. Since then, she has become desperate. Vlaakith wants me dead because I know her secret. It is a secret so great that if her people ever found out, that would be the end of her rule. The end of her. That same secret is how I've been protecting you from the Absolute. I can hear your thoughts. You think I'm lying. Vlaakith warned you that I would try to deceive you, but consider this. What reason have I to deceive you? I want the same thing as you. Freedom. I'm on your side. I have been since the very beginning.
People who have been manipulated by someone they are supposed to trust probably called it really early on. Unfortunately, those instincts are honed by losing trust in someone. What reason does the Emperor have to deceive us, indeed? We don't know anything about it at this point. As of right now, in that scene, there's still our dream guardian. There could be a multitude of reasons why it might deceive us. Hindsight being 2020, we already know that it was deceiving us in this scene, simply with its appearance, not a tentacle in sight. When we finally learn the truth about the Emperor's mind flayer nature, it's not because it decided to suddenly come clean. It was forced to reveal its nature when Orpheus's monks attacked. It's mentioned that all it wants is freedom, same as anyone. But what does freedom mean to a mind flayer? We will talk about that in a bit, but it's certainly not the freedom to walk in the sun or pray to whatever god you like, to be a hero to the people, or simply live in their city with their friends.
There are people out there who misuse the term narcissist. If you've been on the internet, you might have been witness to that. It gets thrown around a lot nowadays by people who technically do not have the qualifications to properly use it, which I'm included in that category. But I do believe that Emperor displays traits of narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, and also sociopath. Like, I think he's a little bit of a sociopath. Once again, I do not have the qualifications. It's just me making a armchair expert guess. Now, I don't have, like I said, the necessary qualifications to say this definitively, but I'm going to tell you why I think that these traits are probably just part of being an Illithid, but perhaps the Emperor is that unique amongst Illithid kind. Maybe he's like extra special. Shitty. There is an acronym that is used to remember the 9 main traits of narcissistic personality disorder. It goes special me. It stands for sense of self-importance, preoccupation with power, beauty, or success, entitled, can only be around people who are important or special, interpersonally exploitative for their own gain, arrogant, lack empathy, must be admired, and lastly, envious of others or believe others are envious of them. Obviously, yes, to all of those for the Emperor. The Emperor believes himself the most important, is obsessed with gaining power, believes it is owed what he wants. I can't stick to a pronoun. I'm sorry, everybody. Latches onto those who are positioned the best for his goals to then manipulate or directly control them as a thrall, is extremely arrogant and lacks empathy, and believes being illithid is the pinnacle of existence and criticizes you heavily for not choosing to embrace your potential if you do that in your playthrough and don't use the tadpoles.
Yeah. Also, I think we totally get a pass on the he, it, they, them pronoun usage because Baldurin was a human male. And then my Dream Guardian on most of my playthroughs has been a female. And then the Emperor has masculine energy, and the narrator refers to them as a he. And then it's only illithid spoken in the general that's referred to as an it. So.
Yeah. All are accepted under the eye of the absolute.
Is that an Astarian line?
Oh, I don't know. I just said it.
Astarian. It is. Astarian says that in Moonrise. Talking to Araj. Don't worry, darling. We're all friends under the eye of the absolute. I won't bite you.
Well, I guess it's entered my subconscious at this point, so yay for me.
Now, every Tav, Dirge, and Origin character is in a relationship with the Emperor, but not all of them are aware of this and willing to reciprocate this. And not all the relationships are romantic. Some of them could make them quite antagonistic, which is also fun. But the Emperor certainly tries to lead you that way. It makes it much easier to convince you to do what it wants when you think it's also your idea, that your goals are the same. Now, the first romance scene is during Act 2, and what your Dream Guardians will say changes slightly on if you saved the Grove or sided with the goblins. You'll know the scene because your Guardian will suddenly be wearing some spirit Halloween strappy angel getup instead of their plate armor. Which, by the way, you can get as your own clothing in Act 3 if you want. I have almost all of my people wearing it once I have access to it. Because it's so pretty. And it goes full length to the ground, so it's a little bit more modest. Karlach looks amazing in it. Okay. Anyways, back to the Emperor. This scene is when you can hug the Guardian if you so choose.
The voice of the Absolute is strong here. And getting stronger. I don't know how much longer I can resist it. But it's good to see you're making progress. You took an unexpected route here. You did a brave thing, saving those people in the Grove. I commend your efficiency.
The hurt runs deeper than he's willing to show you. Beneath the resilient veneer, a touch of fragility. He needs comfort.
So the narrator bit only happens if your character... Wait a minute. So that narrator bit only happens if your character succeeds an insight check, meaning that the Emperor's skill at manipulation runs so deep, is so carefully crafted, it could make it appear like it is trying to hide some fragility under resilience. And perhaps some of it is real. The Netherbrain is a frightening opponent, But revealing this to you is a calculated move to try and bond to you, letting you in bit by bit. The Emperor is also a Byronic hero, a trope we have talked at length about. And V just talked about last week about how I can fix him. Well, that's really just a character of you make me feel special because I'm the only one who really knows you. The Emperor is trying to do this to manufacture a closeness by making it seem like you are special. You are, but it's simply because you are its current thrall in waiting.
Yeah, I honestly worry about people who genuinely believe there's a goodness in the Emperor and like want a happily ever after with the with I mean, touch the tentacles all you want, but please do so with your eyes open and your heart shut. We will explain why. The next romance scene, it's a really strong word to call this a romance, but the next scene takes place in Act 3 after the Emperor's true form has been revealed. So the voice is now that of the Emperor in the following clips. This is when the Emperor will delicately reveal his last important working relationship to you, that of Duke Stelmane. See, the Duke has recently died, and we can learn from Will that her health had been declining in recent years. It seems she had suffered a severe stroke and went on from an able-bodied and hale woman to a woman who struggled to walk and even speak. If you've sufficient insight and pass a persuasion roll, Will can tell you that it appeared she would look through you, not at you. Like she wasn't really there anymore. In this next clip, the Emperor will appear as if it is in mourning. But whether it's mourning the loss of a friend or of a particularly well-placed thrall is currently up for interpretation.
I could not have done any of it without her. Just as I cannot do any of this without you. But now, she is gone. I appreciate the offer, but I don't think it will help. What I feel is deeper than superficial cures can reach, and not entirely unwelcome. Most people think that mind flayers are soulless husks who feel nothing. I am glad you are not most people.
Each word is chosen very carefully by the Emperor. While mind flayers communicate telepathically, they are also able to control their thoughts in a way that most mortals could not comprehend. The Emperor probably does not have sudden thoughts or unintended thoughts cross over into your conversation. It would be nice to occasionally block out the intrusive thoughts. It says, I am glad you are not most people. Meaning that it is glad that you don't believe mind flayers are soulless husks who feel nothing. But notice that it doesn't say that most people are wrong, or that it does indeed feel sad at Stelmane's passing, or even feel anything at all. If you're listening with good faith, like someone who is starting to fall for the Emperor, or at least view it as a friend, you can infer that I am glad you are not most means, but I do feel. That good faith doesn't change exactly what was said. There is one who will call out the machinations of your illithid buddy, and it turns out to be his old friend Ansur. It's wild to place such a huge lore bit inside of a side quest. But if you go in search of the worm that made Worm's Rock get that name, you will find a ton of puzzles and an angry pile of dragon bones filled with a giant lore bomb and some vengeance for good measure. Which I totally missed on my first playthrough, to be honest, and had no clue what I was walking into on my second run.
Vrak, my words aren't meant for you. They're meant for him.
The Emperor stirs in the astral prison, then in you. Calm, curious, and detached.
Baldur, your presence has stirred me, as it ever did. I am awakened. Answer. It's been too long.
Baldur? No. I don't believe it.
A name I once answered to. A name I did not expect to hear again. Least of all from the mouth of an old friend. Friend. Yes. And more. Until you killed me. Have you come to dance on my bones, Balduran? Was slaying me not satisfaction enough? Satisfaction? No. You left me no choice. You had every choice. You were becoming illithid. I offered you merciful death. You chose to fight. And now you bring your thrall before me. How far has the great Balduran fallen?
I'm sorry.
I saw that. That was funny. It made me giggle.
We'll cut that laughter because it does not fit into the script.
Nope. I will say, I thought it was very interesting that the narrative said when the Emperor came out of the prism, it was cold, or no, it was curious, calm, and detached, which I want people to remember for my later points about mind flayers. Just flag that. So yeah, I know we've already told you that the Emperor is Baldurin. Also, drinking game. Drink every time one of us says the Emperor today. But in this game, this is the scene where you find this out, if you couldn't tell by Will's interjection. So it's all the way in Act 3. Deep in the rock, under the gate of the very city the Emperor's former body helped found, and that the Emperor sought to rule from the shadows. Remember the Knights of the Shield? The Emperor told us that it was just an influential mercantile organization. But it is much, much more than that. According once again to the Forgotten Realms wiki, it only appeared to be a secret society of merchants and nobles who were allegedly interested in mercantile and civic matters. But the truth is, they, the Knights of the Shield, were a cult dedicated to the demigod of betrayal and political corruption, Gargoth, which, that's so on the nose. Gargoth quote, embodies the inevitable moral decay that follows both victories won through evil means and the selfish, greedy, and ambitious entities that achieved them. So yeah, what exactly were you aiming to do with Baldur's Gate, bro? The only thing we can be sure of with this Mind Flayer is that it wants to defeat the Netherbrain right now and is willing to protect you from Ceramorphosis to do it. So that's good. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, ? Right now. It makes it very clear that the Emperor believes you should evolve, quote unquote, with the astral touch tadpole. And while I don't want to be a mind flayer, at least the Emperor believes in consent for that. At least it seems to at this point. While we can't trust the Emperor, we can play out some tentacle fantasies with it. But we need to take a mid break before we do that, for science and sponsors. So let's listen to sponsors of the show, hear some fun facts, and thank our lovely thralls. Oh, I mean patrons.
Mid break dance. And I'm going to go with mid break dances that start with the letter B for Baldur. There's the ballet, or a belly dance, or the bachata. Fun dances. I could almost see could you imagine the emperor doing pliés? Oh,
No.
break dance. That's another good one. Break dance. All right. Now, if you didn't notice, the Dream Guardian is voiced by two separate people. Now, as the Dream Guardian, the male voice is Ethan Reed, and the female voice is Diana Bermudez. This was Ethan Reed's first job out of drama school, and amazingly done. Your voice is damn good, sir. Damn good. But Diana is an accomplished actor already in games, television, and cinema alike. She was in Moon Knight, Horizon Forbidden West, and Rambo 5, to name a few. The Emperor is voiced by Scott Joseph, and he also has quite the portfolio, but much of his prior work seems to be in commercials and small uncredited roles. Everyone who lended their voice and skills to bringing the Emperor to life really knocked it out of the park. 3 people can make one cohesive character. That's good.
Yeah, I just want to point out that Ethan Reed's voice is so good. Like, all their voices are great, but Ethan Reed specifically sounded to me a lot like Lee Pace as Thranduil in the Hobbit movies, which I like. I like that. As you guys know, me and my elves. So, next fact is about Ansur. Ansur? I don't know. He's a bronze dragon. So D&D, if you don't know, separates dragons into chromatic dragons like red, green, blue, etc., and metallic dragons like bronze, silver, gold, etc. Chromatic dragons are generally evil aligned, and metallic dragons are good aligned. And bronze dragons specifically find eliminating evil to be a personal calling. They seek justice, and unlike other dragon types, or some other dragon types, they shapeshift quite easily and prefer to run around in human form or humanoid form. And this is why Answer is able to be a humanoid on his adventures with Baldur, and why they were able to touch penises, as Jen said in the comments earlier. This is what makes Baldur's Ceramorphosis so tragic for Answer, though. Like, it would literally be demanded by his moral code to kill a mind flayer. But, it's Baldurin. Or is it Baldurin? That's the question for later.
That is. We also do get to see this in one other instance of like a true dragon in humanoid form, with the Kithrak Voss. You get to see one of his red dragons in dragonborn form. And I got a really cool, unique dialogue, with me also playing as a dragonborn, speaking to the other dragon. It was pretty cool. So we do get to see that happening. Now, according to the Forgotten Realms wiki, thank you for that existing, mind flayers who are healthy and regularly fed on brains excrete a mucus on their skin to help them stay moisturized. And this mucus had a faint allium scent, like garlic or onions, and even sometimes vanilla, which is super random. Now, this wouldn't be noticeable from afar, But up close, a musk of the recently fed mind flayer.
Delicious. The second to last song, next fact, the second to last song on the Baldur's Gate 3 soundtrack is called simply I Want to Live, which if you've heard it a million times because you played the game, but maybe not the lyric version, which is what the one is that I'm talking about. So this is the version of the song with a duet. And the composer, Borislav Slavov, has said that the song is meant to represent your player character. Lots of people hear the lyrics and assume it's meant to be between Astarion and your Tav/Dirge/origin character, because there's like, I feel your breath upon my neck and you want their blood, and everyone's like, blood, vampires, media literacy, gone. Anyway, it's not about Astarion. It's about Tav and your character. But when I hear the duet between the male voice and a female voice, I think it's that because you can be any player character between those two voices, kind of, but also because it's the duality of your character and the Emperor, because no matter who you're playing as, you have a relationship with the Emperor. So I think that song is much more like the relationship with the Emperor than any other companion. So, if you want to listen to it, see what you think, you can let me know if you think I'm wrong, which is fine because art is up for interpretation, but it's also just a great song. So check it out if you haven't. You can also listen to it. Another fun fact, in the Act 1 camp, if you climb up on the rock behind Astarion's tent, it plays there. It'll just start playing. It's one of like 2 locations in the game where that song will trigger for some reason.
Huh. That one I didn't know. I like that. Thank you for bringing a fun fact I didn't know.
Discovered that by accident. The second spot is in the Act 3 camp. I think it's like on a cliff looking out towards Baldur's Gate, but the rock behind Astarion's tent for sure. I've done that one personally, so I know that's true.
I've done the rock in the Act 3 one for sure. I've gotten that one because that was the first time I heard the lyric version. It's when I was exploring in that camp. And I was like, oh. And yeah, I totally did think that it was about me and the bitey boyfriend. But I understand that it's more than that. All right. Spotify. We are at 183 ratings. I appreciate you all so much. And if you've already given us that 5-star rating, I want you to go and steal your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your spouse, your roommate, your somebody else who's living in your house. Just go and steal their phone and give us another rating or 7 because, I really want to hit 200.
I just double checked. It's 184 now.
Ooh.
I got one more since I touched up the script.
Love that. 184. So close. So close. Now, special shout outs to our thralls. Toasty and Apollo, Becky and Daddy Bat Night, Stone Misthios and Muffiny Cake, Win, Evie from HR, Levelany, and Magister Devita. Y'all are amazing and support the fuck out of these 2 girls, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much for your help in getting this show made, because that is honestly what you do. So, Jen, are you ready to touch the tentacles for science?
Yes. Yes, I am.
The only way we were ever going to get close enough to the brain to destroy it was by working together. But few would trust a mind flayer. So I did what I had to convince you. I studied you, your motivations, your actions, your desires. I deduced the best way to align your goals with my own. That you are complex and full of contradictions. It was no easy task, but I had to persist. I needed your absolute dedication to the cause. I anticipated the challenge, and I anticipated your resistance. What I didn't anticipate was how much I would enjoy your company, your mind. Sometimes I felt almost like we were dancing our way towards something deeper. Would you like that?
The back of your mind warms with a rush of feeling, the Emperor's feeling. Heat, care, arousal. You feel its breath merging into yours, cold, smelling faintly of vanilla and garlic. Its breathing quickens as you pull in close to its face, its excitement palpable. You pause a moment as a thought occurs to you. Where is a mind flayer's mouth?
Seeing the Emperor without a shirt on was quite startling the first time. In such a state of undress, it caught me off guard. And I knew that I was going to complete this scene for science. And then I played it again and again and again, and will now fully admit to every playthrough I have done, I have always slept with the Emperor. Let's take a full look at why. Once the arousal hits your brain, it floats you up and into the air, and your body is pulled close together, looking directly into its eyes. You decide to lean in closer, and then you get the scent of him. If you fail your history check and have to ask him to part the tentacles, the Emperor will ask if you would prefer its alternative form. So for all of you who wanted so desperately to romance your dream guardian, you can. You will continue floating in the air, and the body will change back to the one so familiar in your dreams. They grab at your hips and pull you in close. Very similar to dancing in the weave with Gale. Your dream guardian will begin passionately kissing you before fading to black. When you wake up with the Emperor lying next to you, the narrator tells us that, quote, "This was everything you ever dreamed of and more. The single greatest experience of your life." Now, damn, that is a very high bar to hit. I also kind of feel bad for the Emperor in this next little portion. If they did transform back into their humanoid form for you, you were shocked to see them back in an illithid form upon waking up. The Emperor apologizes for startling for you, but it was too difficult for them to maintain their other form after the experience that you just shared. And yet, you look disgusted at them. It's kind of rude. If I choose to sleep with you, I am choosing to sleep with you, accepting everything about you. Just because you can change form and give me the illusion of something different doesn't mean that I'm expecting that to happen every time. Maureen and Joanne say it best. Take me for what I am, who I am meant to be. And if you give a damn, take me, baby, or leave me. Now, if you don't need help finding your way to an illithid's mouth, you take a tentacle in your hand and gently start caressing this extremely phallic appendage. The movement of stroking up and down, up and down, and then you roughly grab and pull him closer to you. The tips of your fingers almost mindlessly wander and stroke the tentacle. And your next dialogue option is to, quote, kiss the tentacle and hope that it's an erogenous appendage. And it is, if the sounds that the Emperor makes are any indication. Now you are using 2 hands on 2 tentacles. You make the Emperor throw their head back in pleasure. And that moan does something it shouldn't in my monster fucker brain. You do it again, rubbing your face along one of his long digits. And this time the tentacles start to trace your frame and pull you in close, hip to hip, while you rub your hands along his chest, dipping lower and lower, while all 4 of those very dexterous face dicks start to wrap around you. I felt a spike of fear. This is what it looks like to be consumed by a mind flayer. But you trust him. You've trusted him with your life this far. You've trusted them to protect your mind. And now you are trusting them with your body. Maybe not your heart. Maybe not your soul. But for tonight, you'll trust it with your body. The top 2 tendrils wrap around the back of your head, a third over your shoulder, and the last along your hip. Their hands reach out and grab your ass, pulling you, grinding you against him. And then you are tumbling over the edge as you go to the ground. And it fades to black. This time, there is no repulsion in your face as you awaken. Only, quote, the remembrance of the pleasure upon pleasure. As mind and body intertwined, it was hard to tell where thoughts ended and feelings began. And while some of your companions and or romance options get to see you and the Emperor after doing the deed, none of them consider it an infidelity. because the Emperor promises to make sure that they don't remember a thing. Wait, what? What? Oh, fuck. The Emperor just told us in plain and simple fact that he can change, alter, and remove your memories. I didn't catch that until today while watching this scene over and over to do my breakdown, but really paying attention to what was being said and not just with the endorphins rushing through my brain. But I'm sorry. My companions won't remember a thing that they saw?
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like that was the whole point, is for you to not catch it. Because he got comfortable, you know? That's why they saw in the first place, is because he dropped the guard.
Yeah. Yeah, that I was shooketh. Or shooketh to the core after that one. After today.
With the I don't know. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this. I did this too, my first playthrough. I save scummed afterwards, but I was like, well, I have to do it. I'm like, I've got a podcast that talks about this stuff, so I need to see it. So I did it. And honestly, I was also taken aback by the groans with the tentacle touches.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting that. And when that happened, I was like, this is too real. I want to back out. Safe word, like red light behavior. Yeah, Kato, exactly. But I had to keep watching because I needed to see the end. But yeah, so in the audio clip that happened before Jen's like extremely thorough description, honestly, also really quick side note, the fact that the Emperor illithid form scene is longer than the scene if you choose to have them in the Dream Guardian body just tells you where the priorities are for us, okay? For Laren and for everyone who plays this game. So yeah, back to the clip where the Emperor was speaking, and he said, few would trust a mind flayer, so I did what I had to do to convince you. I studied you, your motivations, your actions, your desires. I deduced the best way to align your goals with my own. The way that sentence is phrased to me is such a red flag. I deduced the best way to align your goals with my own. As in, he's directly meddling in your affairs. He studied you. Everything, once again, what we've said, every single action is calculated to get you to willingly do what he wants you to do, which is manipulation. That's plain and simple right there. And anyone who says otherwise doesn't know a thing about mind flayers, let alone this one, who's extremely good at it, in part due to his memories of being Baldur. And like, he understands what someone like you, seeking glory perhaps, like would think, you know, and he's also using that to bond to you. And it's like, this is the easiest way to get someone to want to do what you want to do, which is to make them attached to you romantically. Yeah, so in this scene, once again, he's literally saying he's manipulating you. And in other versions of the scene, he'll literally say it. We'll play that clip in a minute. But it starts off, you know, Jen's background in this stream, for instance, is a screenshot from it. Like, the Emperor is shirtless to disarm you further by literally disarming him from the armor that he was wearing. Bonus attraction for the monster fuckers out there, because they're like, hell yeah, illithid chest. So everything's calculated. And once again, illithids communicate telepathically. Everything is cerebral. Everything is through their brain power, literally. It is in your thoughts all of the time. Designing your dream guardian ensured that you probably were already attracted to the Emperor anyway. And it's continued to do so because it knows exactly what to say to get you to do what it wants you to do. And even people who have been distrustful of the emperor, you can't really not work with the emperor. And yeah, there's the whole like, oh well, if I don't help you, Ceramorphosis will happen. But we only have the emperor's word on that. We don't exactly know because at the end of the game, the absolute will say that they let the emperor go on purpose. So who knows exactly what the whole point is and what the truth is. I can guarantee that it's not the whole truth, whatever the emperor has said. But we don't have a choice. We have to trust it a little bit, even if we start calling it out in the game. And this sex scene, obviously, it was legitimately good. And I think the emperor did enjoy it as much as your character did. But that doesn't mean that it still isn't a ploy to get you to trust it further. Like allegedly, you heard the thought from the narrator that said that the emperor was aroused. But who sent that thought? Like, it probably was letting that information trickle on over to you to try to get you to do that, to encourage you to do what it wants you to do anyway. And the final thing I wanted to say about the scene is the scent about vanilla and garlic tells me this bitch is well fed. So I was like, whose brain has it been sucking on? Jen wrote in here the honor guard, which is just sad. But that's another thing about the honor guard. If you remember the first time you see the emperor, well, as your dream guardian, and there's always these key moments where he's like, or your dream guardian is like literally trying to fight off something, and the information that it lets you see, where he's like holding out their hand to stop a power, and then you'll see the skull with this sort of like sphere of energy around it that's different colors and pixelated, and there's these shapes moving around fighting, and he's like, I gotta join the battle again. And we know it's the Orpheus's honor guard that he's fighting the whole time. Like, he apparently has a ton of honor guard there, but it's like he didn't show what they looked like because he didn't want you to know what was going on. You know what I mean? Like, he's literally completely owns whatever you see and experience and feel within the astral prism. So it's just wild to me that anyone would be like, I'm in love with the emperor. I don't get it. You definitely have the sex if you want. Like, it doesn't affect anything, but I don't know how many more ways the emperor can tell you that he's manipulating you and you not believe it if someone's out there still being like, but the tentacles, we could love each other happily ever after. That is not going to happen, guys.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, no, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And I also kind of want to bring up one other point though. So I talked about the infidelity, the whole infidelity, and removing it because of who sees you. Now, Yuri in chat is talking about like, Halsin and Jahira were in the group of people who saw us, and that felt confusing to me because they don't have tadpoles. And then I was like, oh yeah, that is odd. Oh, but wait, it's because a portal opens up, and that's how they are able to see what's going on in the astral prism. And then that brought on even more confusion because dropping your guard would mean that I would be able to hear and sense the thoughts like we do in game of, like Shadowheart wants me to see her dream of the wolves. So she drops her mental guard and then I'm able to see that with her. Not opens a fucking portal. No, the Emperor had to consciously open the portal to let them see. Mm-hmm. So much manipulation. Oh my God.
I feel like there's no end to it, like the amount of detail and moments where you can notice it. And as the game gets closer to the end, it gets progressively more obvious, but it's been there the whole time. I also want to correct something because Yuri Cat also said in chat that she did tell the Emperor that she wouldn't work with him and he left and everyone transformed into mind flayers. I didn't know that could happen. So I take it back. I guess that is one thing he is telling the truth about. And I don't want to like, yeah, I'm dragging him because he deserves to be dragged, but also like he does serve a good purpose to some extent in the game. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit too. So I don't want to say he's like useless and you should just hate him forever. I don't think that's the case. I don't get people who trust him and try to find the good in there that doesn't really exist, because the
Yeah.
lack of evil doesn't mean good, you know?
Right. And just because you don't get to see his evil side doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. We can see his evil side, and especially in this upcoming clip. Now, in the whole scene beforehand, you have obviously accepted his amorous advances. What happens if you reject him? You've been friends with him this whole time. You've trusted him this whole time. But you just don't want to have sex with him. Well, if you reject the Emperor's advances for some hentai and tell him that you just don't trust him, then he will ask you if you will let him share his thoughts with you. If you accept, it will show you a memory of enthralling Duke Stelmane and say this.
Did you like it? The truth. This was the alternative relationship we could have had. Aren't you glad I finessed my methods? But since you insist on thwarting my craft, let us be blunt. You are my puppet. Make no mistake, without me, you have no value. You will take me to the brain because you have no other choice. And once we are there, you will do exactly what I tell you to. And you would do well to reconsider unlocking your potential. Your puerile attachment to your material form jeopardizes us all. If I must, I will force you. We are done here.
Yeah, like a little spoiled brat. He doesn't get his way, so he freaking throws a bitch fit. Also, like, for those of you who need a dictionary because some words are like not used very often, even if English is your native language, like I had to look up puerile because I don't think I've heard that word before. That means childish. So like he's being so patronizing to you in this scene also. Like the images he sends you telepathically of enthralling Duke Stelmane are really horrific, like, and violent in a way, because it's like mentally violent because he forcibly takes her over and controls her. That's what being a thrall is to a mind flayer. And this is the same person who told you not that long ago in the game that that was his dear friend, that he was mourning her passing. Well, you don't do that shit to your dear friends, okay? So this scene is the truth, whether you saw it or not. This is what's happening to you. This is what he's doing. Like he literally just told you. And that's why I said earlier that he allegedly gives you consent about using the tadpole. In this scene, he says he'll force you, which I don't think that actually happens in the game. I don't think he actually will force you to use the tadpole, but who knows? Like there's just so much. I couldn't find anything. But it does say that he would. So there's a scenario somewhere that he would possibly force you. I put a Fall Out Boy lyric, because I always do if I can, that this ain't a scene, it's a goddamn arms race, which is exactly what it is. Like, even if you have the romance scene, it's not romance. It's not a romance scene. It's literally just two characters, one who's controlling everything and one who's manipulating his pawn, aka weapon. Like, it's just not good. I mean, like I said, there are good parts of the Emperor in the sense that apparently Baldur's past memories have influenced him in such a way that he does view Baldur's Gate as worth saving, because he isn't a Lithid. You would think he would be totally fine with the Absolute, but he's not, because the Absolute is not an Elder Brain. It's the Nether Brain being controlled by three mortals. So he doesn't want that, obviously. But he's also against Orpheus. That's something that never made sense to me. Is like Orpheus's goals and the Emperor's goals align pretty well, but they are mutually exclusive. If you join with Orpheus, the Emperor will like go on back to the absolute willingly, which seems super counterintuitive, but to me it's just another example of like he's ultimately an illithid trying to advance illithid things. He's just an individual illithid. He's not going to make a hive or anything. But even the quote unquote happy ending with the Emperor sees him trying to take over the Sword Coast. Like he's not just going to be by himself eating criminal brains. He's going to affect other people and be evil. That's just his nature, apparently.
Yep. His nature is to be evil, covered in good guy. Like, I don't like him. Especially after all this research and all this stuff that we've talked about today, I think I don't know what I'm going to do in my future playthroughs yet. I don't know. So we'll see. So that scene is the culmination scene of the romance and pretty much the final romantic encounter. It's not like even if you decide to keep him along onto the track to the Netherbrain, do you get that final last kiss with him, like you do with your romance or with Halsin if he's your side chick. It just doesn't go that way. This is primarily a working relationship, which brings us finally back to the question of where exactly is a mind flayer's mouth? No, wait, sorry. I mean, what does freedom mean to a mind flayer? The Emperor is a pretty standard illithid as far as methods go, but its motivations seem unique. The other independent mind flayer we meet in the game, Omelium, is also somewhat benevolent or nice compared to the average illithid. But they are just that, independent. When they are not controlled by an elder brain, they still need to consume brains to live. Not just any brains. Sentient creatures. Humanoids, specifically. And they need to eat at least one brain a month in order to survive. They do not experience friendship, love, or emotions the way that other mortals do. The way that we do. The reason that we can have any kind of non-thrall relationship at all with the Emperor is simply because of the unique circumstances that led to this unlikely allyship. This would never happen normally.
Yeah, I guess we're just lucky. There is something to be said about illithids and souls, however. See, people often cite Withers' comment about illithids not having souls as a reason for them to not be the people they once were, like whoever body got the tadpole in them. But it seems, at least in this game, that the illithids retain the memories of their hosts and the brains they consume. So people are kind of stuck on this question of, is Baldur gone completely? Some argue yes, he died when the illithid, that is the Emperor, was born. That's true, Baldur the human did die, as all hosts do during seramorphosis. But if they retain the memories, does that still make them at least influenced by the person they once were? It seems so, although I don't think it matters very much for very long. People will mention that if you, Orpheus, or Karlach become illithid, you seem to have your same sense of morality. Karlach will only eat dying people's brains, for instance. Orpheus, after the Netherbrain is defeated, will unalive himself. And you could too at the end of the game. Or not.
You are a mind flayer. the very thing you sought to eradicate. Whatever self you possess is quickly ebbing away. Your friends and enemies alike are ripe for manipulation. And if not manipulation, then consumption. Soon you will not be able to trust yourself at all. You will be a monstrosity beyond redemption. Or not. Perhaps you're unique among illithid kind. Perhaps you will retain enough of who you are to resist your nature. A rogue mind flayer. Like the Emperor, the risk is certainly yours to take. Will you?
The answer is still a bit muddy. But at least in this narrator dialogue, it seems clear that the person you were disappears over time as a mind flayer. Eventually, the memories of who you were only inform decisions for the mind flayer that you are now, not influence behavior. The Emperor uses his famous background and adventurer experience to bond with you, especially in the quest where you can examine its old quarters in the Elf Song Tavern. It's trying to convince you, you see. I'm just like you. I used to be an adventurer once, just like you, until I took a tadpole to the brain. But mind flayers are essentially sociopaths, narcissistic ones at that, and that's simply in their nature. And if you become one too, you could follow your own nature and eat the Emperor's brain at the very end of the game.
Chewy, cerebral, and delicious. Never in your life have you tasted something so delightful. It's not as if you're doing anything wrong. Just following nature's plan.
Yeah, the unfortunate sound effects in the beginning was your character sucking out the Emperor's brain.
That's some really good head.
Yeah, out of his head. Delicious. So, just so you guys know, for my illithid research, which was extensive this week, according to, once again, the Forgotten Realms wiki, it seems that the only thing that can block a mind flayer's enzyme in its mouth, because they have an enzyme in its mouth that breaks through the skull, the only thing that can stop that enzyme from working is mind flayer slime or mucus, like that thing on their skin that gives them that garlic and vanilla scent. But they need to eat brains regularly to produce that mucus to coat their skin. Yeah, and they don't only eat brains. Apparently, mind flayer's digestive system is sentient as well. And so like they eat the brain, but they also eat the psionic potential in the brain. And when they can't get a brain, they can like snack on organs for funsies, but the brain is really what they need. So great. So that's what's interesting is like the fact that you, a brand new baby illithid, could jump scare and eat the Emperor's brain either means that Larian didn't care and just wanted this hilarious ending as an option, or the Emperor stopped eating regularly near the end of the plan coming into fruition. Maybe because it was just like excited in whatever stoic Emperor way it had that its plan was almost done. I don't know. Like this scene was crazy. It's wild. And it just goes to show you what anyone who knows anything about mind flayers will tell you. They don't have any loyalty. They are entirely self-serving and will turn on you the second they no longer need you.
Yeah, he had to stop eating because once he was still locked in the prism and we came in and killed all the honor guard and then had Orpheus die, there was no more brains to feed on.
Well, my question is, once he ate Orpheus, he absorbed his power, so he could have left the prism and eaten, right? Like he had the power then.
Well, and I mean, technically, he's always had the power to leave the prison.
Well, yeah, but he would have was if he left the prison before, he he like increased his chances of being put under the influence of the brain again, of the nether brain. But once he ate Orpheus's brain and absorbed his power, I feel like he could have left whenever. So if he starved himself, that's his problem, and I guess he deserved his brain getting eaten. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe the whole battle itself took a lot of energy out of him, so he could have just been like, oh my god, I'm starving now.
Maybe. I don't know.
There's a lot of different little ways that you can headcanon it to make it so that way this fits into the storyline. But yeah, it's an interesting little fact. Oh, gosh. Okay. I guess now we are getting to that point where we need to talk final thoughts on the Emperor. I have always fucked him just because I think it's a damn good scene and it's very erotic and is something that you can't do in any other video game. I mean, there's a lot of hentai out there and there's a lot of games that are specifically designed for that, but not with a character that I've already established some form of emotional connection with. And I've gone every route so far except for becoming the Illithid myself. That's the one that I don't know if I can ever do that one. My first run, Karlach was like, please, soldier, let me do this. And so I let her. My second run, I had the Emperor kill Orpheus. My third run, yeah, I mean, I've done Save the Emperor, I've done Save the Orpheus, I've done Karlach becomes a Illithid. I've done so many different ways, but I just don't know if I can become a Illithid after spending, 200 plus hours with a character, having them transform at the end. I don't know if I can do it. I don't want to romance the Emperor into the epilogue. That's not what I want at all.
No. That's the thing too, is like he's used his protection of Ceramorphosis, like, I'm stopping it. Look at me, I'm your hero, for like a good half to half of the game. And then into Act 3, it's suddenly like, turn into an Illithid. You should turn into an Illithid. We can't win unless you turn into an Illithid like me. Look at this devastating beauty. Don't you want some? And it's like, whoa, you're changing your tune. So what exactly is in that astral touch tadpole, bro? Like, why is my normal tadpole under the Absolute's influence not good enough? Like, I can't just break free with your power. No, I have to have this special tadpole. So I wonder what that is all about too. Like, he seemed to change his tune really quick once he cultivated that special little tadpole long enough. Also, there's something a lot of people can't come to the decision on a yay or a nay on this, although I kind of lean towards the yay camp of the Emperor being the one who actually infected you initially, because that opening cinematic, it was done, granted, back in like 2019. It was done a very long time ago, so possibly changes were made that could explain some of these inconsistencies. But one thing that is consistent is that that Illithid in the opening cinematic is wearing the same armor as the Emperor, and there are no other mind flayers in the game that wear that specific armor. It's also strange because in the opening cinematic, there are dead mind flayers around this mind flayer before he or it puts the tadpole into Lae'zel's eye and then later puts it in yours. The thing that makes people go, oh, that can't be the Emperor, is the eyes. The eye color of this Illithid is yellow, and the Emperor is purple, unlike any other Mind Flayer in the game. So a lot of people are like, oh, they probably just changed it to purple at some point in development after that cinematic was made. There's no way to know, though. and I don't think Laren has definitively said, like, yes, that's supposed to be the Emperor, because then that opens up other questions on the timeline of, so the Emperor, like, it makes sense that the Emperor was on a nautiloid because he was sent by Gortash on behalf of the Netherbrain to find the astral prism. So it makes sense that he would have some kind of ship to do so. And he picks up people to infect, I guess. And it makes sense that Lae'zel would be picked up because the astral prism was with the Gith. I don't know why any of the other characters were picked up other than just random shit. And then Shadowheart was picked up. And so, like, some people say, oh, Shadowheart got picked up and she already had the prism because she has said that she took it from the Gith and everyone except her died on that mission. And so she had it on her person when she was captured by the Nautiloid that the Emperor was on. And while he was infecting all his recent captures, he sensed the prism and got his independence back and then went into the prism. So then when you guys break out of the Nautiloid, he's already in the prism and that's how he saves you. My question is, if his mission was to find the astral prism, why was he capturing people to infect, and why were there dead mind flayers on that nautiloid? Was the coup already happening and he took control of that nautiloid for some reason? Like, there's really no way to know. So, like, those are some questions that I have that I don't know if anyone has the answers to. Hopefully Laren maybe comes out with something official someday. But lots of interesting rabbit holes on Reddit if you are so inclined.
Okay. The Mind Flayer that you fight in Moonrise Towers when fighting Ketheric Thorm, once you kill him and pick up his armor, it's the armor that the Emperor wears. Just because, and you can even see the big frills and everything. It's called psionically embraced armor or something like that. So the Emperor's not the only one who wears the frill armor. Like, I've seen it on a couple different ones. There's the Mind Flayer that's like half alive. After the Nautiloid crash in Act 1, he's wearing it.
He had the same one. Did he? I don't remember it having the same one. I thought it was like smaller, like the normal Mind Flayer stuff that they wear. I could be
right,
wrong.
because I can't take off a jacket after.
Yeah, like I said, there's I mean, no definitive one way or the other. I don't really care. Like, honestly,
I don't think
whoever
it was the
infected
Emperor.
me is a bastard, and I hope I stomped their brain in. But like,
wait. Isn't it the dude at the Goblin camp? Like, don't you speak with the dead on him? And
it wasn't him though. That's what it says. That it wasn't that one because that one was wearing less ornate armor. It's specifically what the narrator will say when you ask, like, "Are you the one that infected me?" Because I did that in both my playthroughs, and it's not that one, and it's not the one that tries to like make you save it. That's dying in the beginning.
Yeah,
it's not that one either. But because it'll say it's not the one that infected you, but it's a mind flayer anyway, so we should kill it.
Yeah,
out of principle. But yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. There's like, you can do your best to guess. I personally haven't seen anyone else wear that armor. And just because you can find extra armor in his old hideout, to me, it's like, well, it was still him wearing it. So like, I don't remember anyone else wearing it. So I don't know. But maybe you guys can message us in our Discord if you have other evidence to put forth.
Yeah. All right.
One other thing I wanted to say about the Emperor that I thought was interesting, because like his existence in the game to me is like the closest character to achieving that proper D&D feel. Like, I know I haven't played that much D&D, but I listen to a lot of D&D podcasts, and I feel like there's a recurring theme of like DMs putting in this suspicious character that kind of keeps popping up. And the role of that character is literally defined by if the characters, like if the party decides to trust them or not. So trust or lack thereof will literally decide that character's fate. And that's true for the Emperor. So for me, it's like this little nod to the classic D&D setting of like, here's like the DM trying to trip you up and like trick you. I don't know. So that's just, I thought that was a fun little thing to say.
Yeah. Because the story's going to play out as it's going to play out. And it's just whether you get we end up banging or we totally hate each other by the end responses with him. So I think it's interesting. Do we want to go through all of these? Do we want to go through all these epilogue letters?
Nope,
Or
we don't have to read them. I didn't want to type out things about it because like there's when
we've been recording for a while.
Epilogue. Yeah, no, I know. When you finish the game at the epilogue party, depending on what you chose, the Emperor will write you a specific letter, and they all have like the same theme, and it's like, oh, I'm not really great at written communication because I like to just tell you directly from my brain. But I guess I'll tell you that we had a very beneficial partnership. And like if you didn't become an Illithid, he'll be like, I see no need to curtail further opportunities to collaborate. And if you did become a Illithid but didn't like join him, he'll say like, don't keep your ties to your old life. So when you come to the conclusion, the inevitable conclusion that you have evolved and you're ready to join me in my Illithid supremacy, call on me. My mind will be ever open to you, quote unquote. So the last one is like if you decided that you could restore the Knights of the Shield. Actually, it's not the last one. Sorry. There's 4 different versions of his letter, I guess. Second to last, if you wanted to restore Knights of the Shield, it will once again just be like, oh, wow, novelty of pen to paper. Ha, ha, ha. And then he just warns you, like, don't let your old life hold you back from your new awesome tentacle life. The final one is like if you guys stay together. So it would be kind of like the romance ending. But like I said earlier, you don't have a romance with the Emperor. Like you can sleep with him and he manipulates you. And if you were dumb enough to become an Illithid, sorry, I'm judging. I would never do that. But if you did that, it's fine. This is freedom of the game. But if you did that, and like you were like, oh, let's stay together, Emperor, he'll just say, oh, here's all the things I've done recently and all these connections I've made and all the contacts I have. He says, quote, make merry with your former allies, for we may yet have need of them. Keep them close and wait for my word. Soon, my friend, neither word nor thought will traverse the Sword Coast without our knowing nor our desire until we reconvene, the Emperor. So it's like no matter what, you end up either just like former acquaintances, like work colleagues, or you're still business associates who fucked once. Like that's all it is.
Maybe fucked again. Yeah. I don't know.
But it's like it's clearly an evil path because you guys it's like Minthara. Like I love Minthara, but and at least Minthara is open to you in a way that the Emperor is not. But like y'all are just trying to take over everything. That he doesn't want to love you. He doesn't understand those emotions. He doesn't have them. So he can't reciprocate yours. And if you became an Illithid, you don't have them anymore either. So you guys are just like waiting for each other to turn your back and, be dry-skinned enough to latch on and eat each other's brains. That's it. You guys are just waiting. You will work together as long as it's convenient and efficient for you. And the second it isn't, you'll turn on each other.
I wonder if my purely evil dirge will become an Illithid. I could just reload that and make a different decision. See how that goes. And then I think that he would still go on a ballist murdering spree and just eating people instead of slaughtering them. Yeah. Okay.
Why waste all this good viscera?
Right?
You should eat it.
Yes. All the noms. And now, before I need to go throw up, let's wrap it up and call it a night here. Now, if you like what you're hearing, please be sure to leave a review on iTunes or a comment on Spotify and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can now find me on the Cyberpunk Lorecast with my co-host Toasty, where we explore the foundations of the past, the state of Night City today, and the news of the future for all things cyberpunk. Check out Scyther Audio's newest fan-made production, The Avengers, the audio drama, where I play Captain Williams. And you can now reach me in our Two Girls, One Ship channel on the Robots Radio Discord, and come give us a follow on all the social medias and on patreon.com/2girls1ship. Our theme music was composed by the ever-talented Pipeman Studios, and our artwork was designed by the esteemed Let's Not. Links are in the description.
I am also on the Robots Radio Discord and on our own Two Girls One Ship Discord server, where we nerd out on all our favorite CGI significant others, or not favorite, I guess, in the case of today. Be sure to check out our live streams on Twitch on Fridays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Our podcast episodes release on Mondays because you need at least one good thing on a Monday.
So thanks for listening, and remember...
Sing a song of Baldur, who founded Baldur's Gate, and Beauty's in the Eye of the Controller.
Yay. Ugh. My face hurts. Like, my jaw hurts, and I don't know why. I think...
The
I
long
talk too
description
much.
of face dicks, I think, is what that
Oh, yeah, I said the word face dick. Like that was a thing.
My audacity just crept out on me, so I really hope I can salvage my recording of my audio. Yeah. Also, I've had 2 glasses of wine. So, did you ever expect to speak this long about the Emperor?
No, I was so worried that there was not going to be enough content about this. I was going to be like, do we want to have Sam come on tonight to talk about his Karlak stuff? So that way we have enough content for a full episode. And then blam. Here we are, an hour and 46 minutes into this shit.
I hope my Audacity fixes itself. It's like the screen went black. Like it said it was still recording, but I can't see it. And I pressed stop and now nothing's working. So
okay. All right, let's go so that way you can close a few windows down.
Yeah.
Good night, chat. This was amazing. We love you, and we will see you next week.